and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about what it's like to be colorblind. So I feel like before I get into the actual video, I should just take a minute to talk about what it actually means to be colorblind, because I know that a lot of people don't entirely understand the idea of colorblindness. And then I'll spend the rest of the video talking about my own personal experiences, the specific type of colorblindness that I have, how I found out that I was colorblind, and just generally what the world looks like from my perspective. So starting off with a general definition of what it means to be colorblind, colorblindness is not equal to complete lack of color vision, which is what a lot of people believe when they hear the term colorblind. There's actually a ton of different categories when it comes to colorblindness, and each one affects a specific range of colors. But ironically, the one that makes you completely colorblind, so you can only see in shades of black and white, is actually the most rare type of colorblindness in the world. So in most cases, if someone tells you that they're colorblind, you can probably assume that they don't just see completely in black and white, but instead that they might have trouble seeing certain colors, or maybe they have trouble telling the difference between two colors that may seem completely different to someone with normal color vision. For example, the most common type of colorblindness, which you guys have probably heard of, is red-green colorblindness, which obviously by the name mostly tends to affect shades of reds and greens. So people with red-green colorblindness tend to have a hard time telling the difference because they both kind of blend together into sort of a brownish yellowish shade. But that's enough about general colorblindness. So getting into my specific type of colorblindness, I have a type called tritanomaly, which is a subcategory of Tritan type colorblindnesses, which basically just means that I mainly have problems with certain shades of yellows and blues. Now, I know that doesn't seem like much, but if you think of it in terms of color theory and the three primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue, that means that the only color that I see exactly as everyone else with normal color vision sees it is red, because every other color that could possibly exist has some variation of either red or blue mixed into it. So to give you guys an idea of what I actually see when I look at a full spectrum of colors, I'm gonna step over here a little bit and I'll put up this chart for you guys, which is actually the only chart that I could find online with my specific type of colorblindness on it. As you can see, tritanomaly is an extremely rare type of colorblindness. It's only found in about 0.01% of humans, and it's even more rarely found in females, so I guess I'm just a special case, I don't know. But when you look at the chart, you can basically see that tritanomaly is kind of just a more dull version of normal color vision, but it specifically affects blues and yellows. So for me specifically, it only really affects my day-to-day life. If someone maybe asks me to identify something that's navy blue or a pastel yellow or even a shade of green that's extremely light or extremely dark, because those colors would just look either black, white, or gray to me. But aside from those extremely light or dark variations of colors, I'd say that most colors are pretty easy for me to identify, and I don't normally get too confused when I'm talking to people with normal color vision. For example, if you look at this shirt that I'm wearing right now, I can tell you all of the colors on this shirt. I'm just seeing a slightly duller version of this shirt, which is unfortunate and kind of the reason that I probably tend to prefer brighter colors like this, because bright colors are already really pretty, but since I have a type of color blindness that makes me see colors as more dull, the brighter they are to me, the more I'll probably like them. So yeah, I can usually identify colors pretty well, especially if they're as bright as these are, but that's also one of the main reasons why I didn't really realize I was colorblind until probably a couple years ago. I honestly have no idea how nobody, including myself, noticed that I was colorblind until that point in my life. But basically, the first time that I realized that I was colorblind was because I was doing my sister's nails and she wanted a gradient of colors which she had picked out and laid out in front of me, and I asked her if she wanted the shade of gray on the top of her nail, the bottom of her nail, or in the middle. Now, I originally thought nothing of this, but I looked at her and she looked extremely confused and asked me what the heck I was talking about. So I picked up what I thought was quite obviously a shade of gray nail polish, and she proceeded to inform me that it was in fact very much green. So we argued over that for a few minutes, and then she brought it to my mom and asked her what color it was, and she said that it was definitely green. So I was like, nope, I am not wrong. We are bringing this to my dad. And I brought it to my dad and I was like, Dad, what color is this nail polish? And he was like, that is very much gray. Now, for those of you who took biology class and know how colorblindness works, this is where the whole genetics part comes in, because apparently my dad has the exact same type of colorblindness that I do, which honestly makes perfect sense because the only possible way that I, as a female with 2 X chromosomes, could possibly have any type of colorblindness is that my dad would have to have some type of colorblindness and my mom would have to carry the recessive gene. So apparently that very slim chance happened, and here I am. My dad and I are both colorblind. We both have the same type of colorblindness, and we argue with my mom and my sister all the time about whether something is navy blue or black or green or gray or whatever it may be. So one of the questions I get pretty often is how I went that long without knowing that I was colorblind, and I feel the need to mention that my dad also didn't know that he was colorblind until that point. But basically there's a few reasons, and the main reason is that this type of colorblindness is so incredibly rare, especially in females, but also most colorblindness tests, whether it's online or the ones that you do in biology class, are mainly meant for red-green colorblindness, so it's extremely hard to pick up different types of colorblindnesses, especially if they're as rare as this one. So even though I've been colorblind my entire life, whenever I took a test, it would come back normal, except for the enchroma colorblindness test, which would sometimes come back as Tritan type, but sometimes it would also come back as normal because when it tests for Tritan type on that specific test, it's testing for tritanopia instead of tritanomaly, and they're not exactly the same, but since they're under the same umbrella, they do share some of the same characteristics, and sometimes I'll test positive and sometimes I won't, even though that's not the specific type that I actually have. So that's basically all there is to it. All of the colors just look a little bit more dull to me. Navy blues just happen to look black, pastel yellows are white, and certain shades of like mint green or forest green tend to look either gray or black. Aside from that, it doesn't really affect my life much other than the occasional person, including my own mother and sister, making fun of me for mislabeling a color. I've actually had a bunch of people who know me in person and already know that I'm colorblind suggest that I should try enchroma glasses on my channel, which if you don't know what those are, they're basically just glasses that are supposed to cure colorblindness. The only problem with that is that these are specifically meant for curing red-green type colorblindness, and the type of colorblindness that I have is a blue-yellow type, so I'm honestly not sure what they would do for my type of colorblindness. I'd say there's a very good chance that they would do absolutely nothing, but there's also a chance that maybe they could help. Maybe they'll make the world a little bit brighter. Maybe I'll be able to see navy blues and pastel yellows and all kinds of greens that I couldn't before. I also have no idea how much they cost, so that could potentially be a factor in whether or not I try them, but let me know if you want to see me get them and try them out on my channel. I feel like that could be a fun video, even if they do absolutely nothing. Maybe I'll get them and try doing an enchroma colorblindness test before I put the glasses on and then after I put them on and see if it makes any kind of difference. I honestly feel like that could be really interesting, but that's an idea for a different time, so let me know if you guys want to see me do that. But I think that's it for this video, so if you liked it, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below to become a toridactyl, and leave me a comment letting me know what I should do for future videos. As always, I'll leave the links to my social medias in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!